really felt like when I was first considering, like, doing some kind of thing for me, I initially thought, oh, that's like a selfish kind of feeling. Oh, I'm taking care, like, like I have a priority right now. Like I have a son. I should be like thinking more about him. And yeah, it definitely like it was sad to say, but it felt like a kind of sad, like reflecting on it. I'm like, man, like I felt like I was kind of selfish with just thinking about myself first. But ultimately, like now really reflecting on it, it's like, hey, like this was not just for yourself, it's for other people as well.
That's amazing. And thanks for
Yeah.
sharing that. And what were some of those thoughts or fears you had before committing?
Maybe the first one was like, hey, I'm not gonna be able to cut this out. Like I'm not gonna be able to stick with this because you're thinking like, man, okay, this is like if you wanna unwind and like untangle a lot of like your like long standing habits and things that like you've built for so long, it's gonna take a lot to undo it and just slowly, start to heal yourself and like start to like better yourself. So the whole like time commitment, I'm like, ah, shit, I don't know. I really don't know. There was that thought. And then the second thought was like, what if it's like great for however many months I'm doing this? And then when the time comes when it's just like, okay, like now we're gonna slowly like, cut the ties and be like, okay, you've got this. My fear was like, I don't know if I can do it, like I can handle it on my own, and like if like, everything comes back and comes back in like force. So that's where my thoughts were at the time.
Thanks for being vulnerable and transparent and sharing. I remember on our first call, although you're sharing those fears now, you seemed very excited. I was like, wow, you seem like, you know what? I might not know all the answers, but I'm going to take the jump anyways. Like where does that come from? Have you always had that mentality or that mindset to just go, just like go for it?
See, that now that you're thinking about it too, like I even though I come off as like you can naturally like talk and be able to like hold like a conversation and whatnot, I'm very like little like, let me research, let me do this, let me like kind of like figure everything out before I
Oh
make
yeah,
my decision. So it's
totally.
yeah, but I definitely when it came to like my health, I was like, okay, no, like you have to be a little bit more like proactive. You have to be a little more like gung ho about it because that's
Mm.
your health, girl. Like, you gotta do it. There's no time. Like right now is like the probably the best time, the best opportunity to do it. Like it's better late than never. And that's why I was just a little bit more like, yeah, like let's get this going. Like let's make that decision now before I change it.
Wow, that's
And yeah,
powerful.
and
That's
that's
so
we're
powerful.
here now.
Wow. And it took one decision, which is so awesome. It took one decision to say yes and move forward. Like, walk us through how did you even connect? Like, how did you find Team BB Fit, find me? Like, walk us through that.
So I remember the very first conversation we had. I think I told you about it too. Like I
Mhm.
think I had already followed you on Instagram. And what drew me was a lot of the reels about like, what you should be eating or what you should be like picking up at like the grocery store at Costco. And I'm like, well, shit, like it's a little bit easier this way. Like, okay, like yeah, like he just picked that up. Like oh, I've seen that like at the store. Like it's cool. And then the more I like deep dove into like all your other reels about like how you pay attention and like you dive into this community of nurses. And yeah, like nurses right now, like they're doing a lot. And a lot of times like nurses like we neglect ourselves because we're really focusing on taking care of others. Like that's our job. But we got to be good examples. So like taking care of yourself is definitely a good way of like role modeling to your patients to like other people like, hey, yeah, like you're a nurse, like like you're taking care of yourself. That's great. Like, that's awesome. So, seeing like your commitment to nurses and like seeing their potential and being able to see that they too, just with the coaching, with the support, they can do what they've probably always wanted to dream, like they're dreaming about doing, but they never had the time or like
Mm.
the motivation or the support. So I think that's what won me over. I was like, hey, this guy is just like he really wants to take the time. He really understands, or he understands like the mindset that a lot of the nurses like they go through. Like I'm like, wow, like he really, it felt like you were really speaking to me at that point.
Um,
And I'm like, man, there's that. Plus like, like the side task of like my son's getting like a one first birthday party this
yeah,
coming Sunday. So it's just like, oh my God, like this is the time. This is the time to do
yeah,
it. So yeah.
yeah. Aw,
Yeah.
that's amazing. And, that means a lot to us and to me, to be able to help, amazing individuals like you. I mean, once you got started, Charlene, what felt different about this process, about the metabolic burn system? What stood out to you as you're going through inside the program?
So initially, I knew where my big focus was that it was going to change was my nutrition. So it really was helpful to have the app, and it was able to kind of just track everything down. And I mean like everything down to a T.
Yeah.
And I'm still 6 months after, like, or where are we? Three, two? I don't even remember where we're at, but it feels like a really long time. But like I'm slowly starting to get very comfortable with tracking like what I'm eating. And initially I was like, man, like I don't know if I can do this because it's a lot of work. Like it's a lot of just tedious stuff. Even from the first couple meals, just kind of seeing where it breaks down, like, hey, this is how many like proteins you're hitting, your fats and your carbs. It was kind of almost like a game. It
Mhm.
like felt like yeah, like I hit that. Like I hit that daily like that goal. Like that's great. And then I also noticed like, oh, I wasn't really eating as enough like proteins, or like, oh man, I'm like going crazy on like the carbs and stuff. So it really kind of helped me like just dial down on like what I'm eating, how
Mm,
much I'm eating. So in and itself, like the first couple days, like even though I feel like my food intake may have been almost the same, but it
mhm,
was just what I was eating, what visually on the app, it kind of helped me be like, okay, I'm on the right track, or like, hey, like maybe I need to do this. So like I need to intake this more often. So it was kind of like, you know, I'm pretty sure you and Jen like noticed, like I was like, yeah, let's do this. Like the first day I was like so freaking excited. I was like, oh
yeah.
my gosh, okay. But yeah, like the app helped, and like just kind of seeing like where my nutrition was at and where it's come to, like, I feel like that was like the best way to start. And like, yeah, I don't
That's
know if that like answered
No,
the rest of the.
that's amazing. And the fact is that a lot of people are afraid of tracking macros and calories because, when you try to do it yourself, it is overwhelming because it is tedious work, right?
It
But like
is.
what we always say is just like anything, if you want to improve something, you got to have awareness around it. You got to track it, right? You got to look, just
Right,
like your patients, you got to look at all their vitals, right? If you don't know all their
right.
vitals and where their heart rate and their blood pressure, how are you supposed to prescribe them or progress them and get them healthier, just like with our nutrition? And so the fact that you were able to learn that skill and then find out, wow, maybe I am missing some certain nutrients. Maybe that's why my digestion isn't the best. And so
Mhm.
I think that's kind of where you're alluding to. And hey, not only that, you've lost 11 pounds, and that was like your first 12, you put in your first short-term goal. You want to lose 10 to 12 pounds and you've actually reached that goal. And that's huge. Like, I'm curious, when did you start noticing progress? So, people are probably curious. All right, Charlene, you're in this program. What did
Uh,
you start noticing? Like, was it the bloating? Was it the digestion? Was it the energy? Like, when did you start noticing some of the progress or some of the compliments that you were getting as you're going through this program?
Man, so I was already kind of like maybe within the first week, I was already kind of noticing like, hey, like I feel a lot more lighter. Like I'm not eating all this like crappy food. So like I felt lighter, like I felt less bloated. But what it was like maybe like week three, week four, when I started hearing the Filipino like judgmental like mom and stuff saying like, hey, you lost weight, or hey, what's going on? Like I was like, all right, okay, you notice, like that kind of thing. That's when I started noticing, like, damn, like yeah, like we're headed in a good direction. The whole thing about like yeah, like somebody like actually telling you that, like that felt like that felt great. But yeah, like I definitely started noticing it like immediately. But then that week three, week four period, that's when it just started to kind of like, all right, here we go. Like here's like some kind of like change where people are noticing. And then I'm starting to notice it with like being able to fit back into like my clothes, like from prepartum days or, pre-maternity days. Yeah.
Those are the best. Like getting those compliments coming, we're both Asian, hearing compliments, and it's crazy to say it's superficial, but hearing it from our family, from our relatives who we know are not sugarcoating shit, tell
Oh,
us
yeah.
that, you're like,
Hell yeah.
whoa, whoa. All right, now we're getting somewhere,
Yeah.
which that must feel good
Yeah.
for you.
It definitely did. But I will tell you though, like it's probably and I'm probably speaking to like a lot of the nurses that like are from like Asian populations. You're gonna have that like when you're going to like a party and stuff, they're gonna be like, "Oh, why are you not eating more? Why are you doing
Mm,
this?" So it's like that tip, like, hey, like just tell them like I'm doing something for me, like like I'm just like having like like I'm just watching what I'm eating. Doesn't mean that I'm not gonna eat at all, but as soon as like they hear that, they're like, okay, like understood. But yeah, definitely there are gonna be
Hey, and
those.
I want to touch on that actually, Charlene,
Mhm.
because that is a big challenge that a lot of our nurses are struggling with. It's like showing up to the family parties and all the titas are like, why are you not eating? Like, and you feel like that pressure. Did you feel that pressure? And like, yeah, like how did that whole process go down?
So it's yeah, it was kind of like I shit you not, like as soon as I started this program, it's like almost every single weekend. Hey,
Wow.
let's do this, let's do that. Like let's have like dinner, let's have like a meal. So it was very much like a challenge, like almost every single weekend. It was like a separate challenge, like, okay, how am I gonna do this? But yeah, like being able to tell them, like, hey, like, I'm just kind of watching what I'm eating and just kind of going into town with like, hey, the proteins, like if that's what you're not having all the time, just go and eat some of that. That's fine. But just kind of cutting back on like the carbs and whatnot, and just being kind of more mindful of like how much you're putting on your plate.
Mm,
It's definitely does pay a big difference when you're just kind of watching and just being more attentive of like how much you're
mm,
putting on your plate, and kind of also where am I going with this? It takes a little bit more of like just being more attentive with what you're eating and like when you're socializing with your family and whatnot. I think that's what kind of like helped navigate me throughout the like past like few months on like all of these like little get-togethers and whatnot, like so it's not like like you're tiptoeing and like you're not like I don't want to like hurt your feelings by saying like, oh, I can't have this. But there will be like the family members that like they don't understand. And
mm,
you just kind of have to just be like, just take a deep breath and be like, okay, all right, that's that. And there's nothing you can do to change your mind. But with the family members that are willing to be like, okay, all right, cool, like that's what you're doing for you, they can't disrespect this. Yeah, yeah, it's definitely a big thing when it comes to nurses, Filipino nurses, Asian
uh,
nurses, because it's gonna happen a lot.
Yeah, and I love that you're sharing that, Charlene, and I think some of the takeaways that I'm taking away from it, and I'm sure whoever's listening as well, is number one is that you're displaying boundaries by communicating. Is you're saying, hey, I'm gonna eat a certain way because I'm working on something for myself. I think that's so powerful. And yes, you're gonna get a lot of people who are gonna support you, your family, and you're gonna have some people who don't understand, and
Mhm.
that's okay. And I think that's where you're coming from. It's like, hey, that's not in my control. I'm doing this for me. And number two, you're bringing so much more mindfulness and awareness around what you're eating. It's not that you can't. And I think a lot of nurses feel like, oh my God, if I do this fitness thing, I can't go to any of the family functions and I can't eat, like all the good foods. But it's like you're just being more mindful and you're hunting for protein and maybe not too much of the carbs, but you're still
Mhm.
there and you're still indulging in it. And I think that's extremely powerful as far as living what we call the VP Fit healthy lifestyle, which is
Right.
which is so awesome. And I'm curious, like, since you have this busy schedule, how are you able to make this work? Because I know a lot of people are like, how does she do it? Like, how does Charlene do this? She's talking about tracking macros and being attentive and, like handling, like, how are you able to make this work? What are some of those like secrets or little things that you're doing? You're able to manage everything. Now, I'm
Oh
not saying you're
man,
perfect, right?
I
Because
know.
there's,
I was
I'm
like,
not saying
dang, I'm not there yet.
yeah, hey, we're never going to be perfect, but like
Very
how,
true.
like what are you doing to kind of balance and manage everything?
So it did. Yeah, it's a lot. I'm still working on time management and being able to just kind of like, okay, this is the time that I'm like gonna set for prepping my food for the week, or like this is when I'm gonna exercise. Like truth be told, it's not gonna be that nice, like nice, pretty, like, oh,
Hmm.
okay, let's put it on the Google calendar, blah, blah, blah. It's not gonna happen like that.
Yeah.
So it really is just embracing, like, it's kind of also like a mindset type of thing where you have to give yourself grace in terms of like, if it's gonna happen today, great. That's like awesome. If it's not, take your breath and be like, okay, let's figure it out. Let's
Mm.
figure out like when you got an extra pocket of time and work on it as much as you can. If you like, let's say for instance, like if I'm like trying to meal prep, like, and it is kind of a juggle, like kind of like with a kid that is just like slowly starting to learn like their sleep schedule. So I used to always just wait until my kid was down, like just
Mm.
like KO for like the night. And I'd be like, oh my gosh, okay, let's freaking do everything at that point. But it's not sustainable doing that every single like day, every single
Hmm.
week. So I'm like, oh, you know what? Like if it's gonna happen, if I have to have it happen, like if I have to like prep, maybe make it like for 2 or 3 days at a time versus like a whole week. That
Mm.
way, it still kind of carves up time, like, okay, I'm doing this to prepare, but also gives you time for your, like truly what you need to do at the end of the day. Or if you want to just freaking just go to sleep,
Yeah.
you can go to sleep right after. So it's just really just finding pockets of time where like, like you've got that time and just being graceful and like just being like, okay, like if it's not gonna happen today, let's try our hardest to like, finish up like one or two things, like little things, and pat yourself on the back because
Oh.
it you're only allotted this amount of time, like, like in the day. And especially when I'm learning, like when you have a kid, it's not always going to be the same exact time every single day. So it's
Oh.
just, you just find time, you find like the energy, the willpower. And I'm really grateful too that I have a husband that really does support. Yeah. So like definitely if you have supportive people like in your like immediate family, that really does help. But yeah, it's just finding that extra 10, 15 minutes that you can like just carve out and be like, all right, let's do it. And then, just be like, yeah, all right.
That's amazing. And like the fact that you're giving yourself grace through this process, I think is very powerful. I think more people need to do that. And you kind of just communicating, hey, not every day is going to be perfect, but that doesn't mean I throw in the towel. And I always communicate to you and all of our clients, like, hey, as long as you don't quit, you will win. And it's not about being
Yes.
100%, but it's about finding those little pockets of time and just doing the most that we can to stay prepared and continue to just move. And I love that you also mentioned having a strong supportive system is a freaking hack in life. I think that is awesome that you have that. And I'm curious, like you even said that he's starting to find inspiration in your fitness journey and he's starting to eat a little healthier. Like, how has your husband noticed a change in you? And how is it that it's a ripple effect where maybe you're seeing him start to move in the direction of just bettering his health for the family?
Yeah, so I mean, initially when I first started the program, he was probably a little bit more conscious of what he's eating. So he's not a big snacker in comparison to me, where I'm like, I love snacks. But when I first started the program, he started noticing like I would just eat breakfast or like, like I would prep more of my foods more often. So it's just kind of like you see that and you're like, I can do that too. So he would slowly like, prepare like his own breakfast and like lunches for the day. And he also kind of just was like, oh, like what are you eating for the day? Can I have some of that too? Or like, can you whip me up an extra one? So not just myself where like I'm getting like, the benefits of this program, like yeah, it is like a ripple effect where, my husband's starting to notice it and like he's doing things for himself. Maybe not necessarily he's like not doing like one for one thing or like that's yeah, no. He's just noticing like he can change himself like in a healthy sense too. And then ultimately like that kind of helps with, what are we feeding my son? And like, now he's at that point where he's eating solid food. So it's just
Wow.
like it's another person where we're like, we have to consider like it's not just straight like formula or breast milk
Wow.
anymore. It's like, he's gonna ultimately eat like fruits and vegetables and like meats and stuff. So it's just,
Oh,
he eventually needs to like start eating like right too and healthy like at the get-go. So like yeah, definitely it came at a great time where um we want to start our son eating like healthy and like, like not
totally.
like, throw him off the deep end with like all kinds of like random shit. So
Totally. Oh,
yeah.
I think that's powerful, and you're breaking a generation. I call it a generational curse because we grew up. Like I have immigrant Asian parents, and we grew up eating cup of noodle and TV dinners,
Oh
and
my
like I wonder why I
God.
have gut issues now and have to work all through this because I'm like 20 plus years of just eating, whatever is in the freezer and spam and like, and so the
Right.
fact is that you're changing something that you didn't have for future for the next generation, I think is incredibly powerful. I think that's so inspiring that
Absolutely.
you're
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah.
And okay, looking back, like, what are some of the things you're most proud of so far with your journey, Shalene?
Oh man. I think we kind of touched upon it like when we were talking about like being at gatherings and whatnot. And I just lost my train of thought.
Some wins.
It's you know what? So I'm really like probably one of the biggest wins is like once again, it's a program where you're not gonna see immediate results, but because you're putting in the work and you're doing the incremental changes, you start to notice like, things like kind of like, okay, like I can do this for a long haul.
Mm.
I'm not gonna feel like shit like if I end up like eating like something like a candy or whatever. Like you're not gonna feel like down in the dumps about it. And I think another big win is just yeah, seeing like the weight come off and like being able to get that energy again, especially just so that I can get through the day and get to like, play with my son without feeling so like sluggish and tired all the time. Um, that's definitely been a win and it will continue to be a win, like as I keep going with Elite. And then probably like a personal thing with like, I don't know too, like where life is just life and, you can't control things that happen in terms of like family members and like loved ones. Having this program was kind of like a home base or kind of like what would you call it? Like it was something where it gave me structure
Mm.
when there were times where things were kind of blown out of whack or like, there's like personal situations, family situations going on where it's uncontrollable and like you just feel like that's super stressful. Like coming to like this app, it's so silly. Coming to this app and then just being like, okay, what do I have to do today? Like
Oh,
being able to like just kind of just fill in things, even like if you're most stressed out of the time, like I think that's been just like a mini win every single day, like just coming back to home base and being like, okay, yay, I did that. Like, um, truly, like the past like months have just been eye-opening and very like I already can tell that this was a very good like life changer for me. Um, because now, like moving on, like as I get older, these habits they're they're gonna continue because they're not gonna be one of those like this was strict, this was this, you can't eat this, you can't eat that. No, like I think I wanted to touch upon it last time where um, you know, I could go to parties and I was able to still eat and still like, enjoy myself without always feeling restrictive or like feeling like, oh shit, I can't eat that. Like it's gonna like throw my entire day off, like that kind of thing. And those like little points in your day, those kind of points in like the whole journey, it really does add up because when you're looking back on it, it's like, well, yeah, like I was able to do this, but like, hey, like I still have energy. I'm not feeling like I can't eat, like I can't wear like a certain pair of pants that I just like wore
oh,
yesterday, you know? Yeah, like so many wins, even though there's a lot of challenges throughout this whole journey, so many wins. And
oh.
I feel like they surpass like the challenges that you're gonna go through. So, yeah, like not to sugarcoat it, like it's gonna be tough sometimes, but you're gonna find what's gonna help you keep going, and like you're gonna find that motivation to be like, yeah, like I can do this. Cause stupid to say, I watch Miss Rachel all the time because of my son, and she has this song where she says, "You can do hard things," and like that is a line where I shit you not, I will say it to myself if I'm having a tough time. I'm like, you can do hard things, and it's true, you really can. And with this program, it definitely kind of strive like, yeah, you could do the hard thing. And this is probably one of the hardest things that I did, like when I first started, like, so yeah, definitely. Ms. Rachel,
Wow.
gosh,
Shout out to Miss Rachel. Well,
Ms. Rachel.
I'll have to play that too because I too, as a fitness coach, have hard days. And
Mhm.
the fact that you're sharing that and being so vulnerable and open is not just inspiring to me as just a normal person hearing your story. Because I'm like, wow, if Sharlene can get through these things and look at fitness and health as like, hey, let me come back to home base. I can't control everything in the world, but I can control maybe just me drinking my water today.
Yeah, yeah,
Hey,
exactly.
I'm like, I don't know what's gonna happen, but as long as you drink my water today, you know what? It's gonna be okay. We're gonna make it to tomorrow. And I think that is
Right
so
on.
powerful. It's more than just the weight loss. It's more than, hey, getting a compliment, which is all amazing part of the process. But it's the
Hmm.
fact that you are able to do hard things and to get to tomorrow and use this as a foundation to not give up, I think is incredible. And it's gonna take you forever. It's going to take us through forever. And yes, we're not going to wake up tomorrow and have a six pack, but we're also not going to sacrifice the family events, and we're going to be able to do this because it's a lifestyle
Right.
and it's not a
Right.
30-day fix. We're doing this so everyone around us can be better, and you are inspiring everyone around you, whether your family and your relatives tell you or not. Like like you're doing it right now because I already feel it. And so I want to make sure I tell you that on this call, that keep inspiring, like keep showing up, like you are a warrior. So incredibly powerful. And if another nurse, Sharlene, or a mom is watching this and they're thinking, you know what, it's too late, it's too hard, what would you say? What would you say to her?
Truly, I think, I know you're gonna have those moments where like, yeah, like you're not gonna be like, you're gonna have those like negative thoughts. And it truly does take just like that little bit of courage inside of you, that little bit of like motivation. And hell, like I think like I talked to Jen about this too. Like even if it's like a self, like a vanity thing, even that like little motivation can just be like the spark that just ignites your fire. Just hold on to that and be like, hey, like let's think about that like idea more often. Let's think about that, like what you want to do, what you want to dream, because I never thought I was gonna do this, honest to God. Like this was just
Wow.
kind of like a little dream. Like I was just like, what? And then the more that I'm coming through with it, I'm like, well, shit, this thing like it's been like a part of me that like now like I can't, like if I were to walk away from all of this stuff, I'd be like, oh shit, like I feel like weird. Like I
Mm.
probably feel like a little out of my body, like kind of thing. But yeah, to those nurses, to those first time mothers, moms, I see you. And I would even offer my own support too. Like I like honestly, like it helped having like that support system as well, just to kind of be like, like if I were to text someone, or shoot, I would text like Dustin and like Jen, like I'm having a rough time. I would hear back from them. And I think that support was definitely needed during this journey, and was like just in general too, like I feel like they kind of like helped me like get through a lot of things. So knowing that you've got people here that's going to support you, if you end up being on this journey with us, they're going to support you, and they're going to be like, I will fucking back you up. I will back you up. I am in your corner. Just know, like, it just takes that little bit of like spark or motivation to kind of light it. And you just need that at that point. If it helps, write it down, just kind of visualize it and just go with it, because you're not, it's going to be hard to be like, you just kind of get that, like, you get stuck in that like negative thought. Just hold on to that spark where you just like your eyes like kind of light up, like, yeah, I can do it. And just hold on to it as much as you can. And if you can't do it yourself, ask somebody that you know that you truly like, that supports you or just has your back, and be like, okay, just kind of root for me for a little bit. Just, like go
Yeah.
go with me. So It's just that little motivation, that little spark to kind of just light it.
Yeah, that's freaking powerful. And, I'm proud to have you on the VP Fit family too. And us doing this is you helping, and inspiring and motivating for whoever that needs to hear it. And, you talk about the vision, you talked about writing it down and like really having that desire. Now that you've graduated into VP Fit Elite, what is that next big vision that you're working towards? Like, what is next for you? Let's put it back on you.
I don't. So I was thinking about it on my like when I was getting ready. I'm like, man, what happens after this? You know? And it really is like I was kind of just like, okay, like this is like the big milestone with the party coming up in like a few days. I'm like, what's next? And just talking about it, like I think what's next is just like I think I can push myself to like lose a little bit more. And with that, I don't really have like big like restraints, like big events that's coming up. Like being able to kind of fall in love with like just the whole going back to nutrition. Shoot, before this, I was just kind of like, oh, I hate vegetables. I'm not really too big on like fruits. Like it's all good. But nowadays, I'm like, you fall in love with like, fruits. You fall in love with like
Wow.
vegetables and stuff that you don't really see a lot. And you're like, okay, it opens your mind to
Wow.
things and like kind of just playing around with your nutrition versus like, getting stuck in like processed foods and like things that you can immediately buy. Like, I think that's like the next goal. And I think I've talked to Jen about this. Like, probably a more future goal is to like get myself really to start cooking, like
Mm,
cooking. Yeah. Cause I'm not really a big cook either. Even though the things that I've been eating, like they're more nutritious, more healthy, they're
right.
not really like, oh, okay, let's, like let's like do all this.
Chef
Like,
up,
let's
yeah.
just throw in it. Yeah. I am not a chef by all means. So I think this next goal is to like really like prepare like more healthy foods and like fall in love with like the foods that are more wholesome and good for you while losing weight. Being able to like provide food for your family where, they'll also love like the food that you're eating and like be healthy as well. So
I love that. Oh, you're breaking all the limiting beliefs because I used to be in a point where I didn't like fruits. I didn't like vegetables growing up because like I didn't eat that. But like, yes, I did come to a point where you know what? It's weird that I can say that I crave vegetables and fruits now. And I've never
Mhm.
been that person. Just like you. You're like, I never liked fruits. Now you actually like it. You're
Yeah.
telling me that you're not a cook. Well, the next time that we're gonna have eventually another part two down the road, you're gonna be sharing how much you actually like cooking and how much you're
Yeah.
able to cook for for your family and like you're actually enjoying it. That is the fitness journey. You've gone through the hard
Mhm.
part already, which was starting. And the fact that you're continuing to going is like, what else are you saying that I'm not this or I don't like this that we're just going to continue to break? And that, I think that is super powerful and that's inspiring. So
Yeah.
Man, well, appreciate you jumping on the call. I think I keep talking to you about, like more wins and like all the things you're going through. But the final question for me, Charlene, is what does this journey mean to you now that you've made it through what we call the hardest part? Like, what does it mean to you now at this stage in your life?
It's like I said, like it just feels like a part of me. It does feel like it's I've built up that routine and now, this like it's hard to go without at this point right now. And it truly is a lifestyle where I know that a lot of these things that I'm learning will for a really long time, for a lifetime, hopefully. And it's also gonna be able to just like show to my son, to my husband, to my family members, like, hey, like you can do this too. Like it's not like we always have to stay status quo and just be like, okay, whatever. It kind of teaches me that, there's if I just had like I had like this little like just spark of like I just want to lose weight. I just want to feel more healthy for my own life and to be able to take care of others. And it's just long lasting things that I've learned. And it also teaches me how to deal and cope with like challenges.
Wow.
Like I don't know if that answered your question, but yeah, it definitely just feels like a part of me where if I were to just walk away from it after this call, I'd feel like so out of body. I'm like, oh,
That is to me is a success because what you're sharing is that this is a part of you now. This is your identity. It's not something that you do, it's something that you are and who you're
okay.
becoming in the process. And I would love if everyone can get to where you're at right now. I know you still got a lot of goals and you're still continuing, but you embody that. And I believe that is a true win. Sharlene, thank you for jumping on and sharing your testimony. It's been inspiring this past, last 45 minutes. I'm pumped. I'm charged up. And I hope you
All
are
right.
as well to continue charging. So yeah, if you're listening to this and thinking, you know what, like I do relate to Sharlene and I want to feel like that again, and then it's time. And our coaching really isn't just about losing the weight. It's about building a system that actually works for your life. So whether you're a nurse, like you're a mom, you're working full time, or you're just tired of like spinning your wheels, we got you. Right. And then if you're ready to get the support, the structure, and the accountability you need, we are opening up. So you can absolutely book a free strategy call with us and we'll map out what that transformation would look like. Thanks, Sharlene, for joining our breakthrough series, and hope to see you again in the future once you start cooking.
Well, most definitely. Thank
Yeah.
you for having me, Dustin.
Hell yeah.